Hi, welcome to Snory's, a children's bedtime podcast hosted by your Snory godmothers. I'm Marcia Gay Harden, and I love sleep.
And I'm Natalie Peyton. I love sleep too. Thanks for joining us.
Time to settle in, snuggle up, put your head on the pillow, and get ready for your Snory's bedtime ritual. First, we start with mindful talk.
Your Snory godmothers wonder, have you ever helped someone that was sad? Or maybe a friend who fell off a bike? Or perhaps a teacher who dropped their chalk? Did you notice how that person felt after you helped them?
They feel thankful that you were there for them, and when you experience their gratitude, that makes you feel good too.
Sometimes when we're feeling down, we might find that if we care for others, like people or even little animals, it can make us feel better. We feel more connected and our hearts are full. This makes us more thankful for all the wonderful things in our lives.
And when you help others, it makes other people more likely to want to help you. Kiddos, one way to show your thankfulness is by using words of gratitude in your affirmations. Let's try it together.
Repeat after your Snory godmother, Marcia. Say it quietly or say it in your mind. But don't just say it, kiddos. Really feel it and experience the energy of the words.
I like taking care of my pets.
Our animals depend on us.
I'm proud of my body.
Your body is yours for life.
I'm thankful for my bedtime.
Bedtime is the best time.
I'm grateful for my listening skills.
And we're grateful you're listening, because here's your Snory science tip. Did you know that while you're sleeping, your ears can hear all the sounds of everything around you? But your brain turns the volume down so that you can get a nice, restful sleep. This is why a quiet room is a better choice for a good night's sleep.
I'm grateful to be helpful to people and nature around me.
We're thrilled to hear that. And in today's Snory, The Magic Bed, you will hear the story of an Indian prince who helps some wonderful characters in need, and in return, gets the help he needs from them to go after the desires of his heart. We're almost to the Snory, but first, we want to help you get all your wiggles out. We do this by grounding with our surroundings and focusing on our senses. This time, we want you to begin by focusing your attention on the present moment. What's around you right now? To start, notice how your bed feels against your body. One Snory's listener told us his bed felt like he was laying on puffy, white marshmallows. What does yours feel like? Next, we want you to think about what you hear as you lay still in the present. Another listener told us they could hear the sound of crickets outside chirping. What do you hear? Now, with your eyes closed, think about the first thing that you see in your mind. What was it? As you lay on your bed, snuggled up, notice what you smell. One Snory's listener said she could smell the moon. Wow, I wonder what that smells like. Finally, as you lay in your bed in the present moment, identify any tastes in your mouth. Super. Now that you're grounded and your imagination is turned on, it's time to enjoy the Snory.
Today's Snory, The Magic Bed, is read by our special guest, Melanie Chandra. It is set in the wondrous land of India, and Melanie's family is also of Indian heritage, making her the perfect person to bring this story to life.
The Magic Bed. The Ant King praises the beauty of the Princess Lalin. The tiger gives the prince the best of advice, and by the aid of the magic bed, wonderful things occur. Once upon a time, there was a very lonely Raja, which is a prince, who lived in India. He loved his beautiful land. It was like a painting with green crops and flowing rivers. India is a land of flowers and plants and beautiful animals. The Bengal tigers with their magnificent stripes roam the jungle, and the Himalayan mountains decorate India like a majestic crown. One very hot morning, our Raja had been hunting in the jungle, but by noon he had lost sight of his attendants. So he sat down under a palash tree to rest and to eat some cakes which his mother had given him. When he broke the first one apart, he found an ant in it. In the second cake, there were 2 ants. In the third cake, 3 ants, and so on until the 6th, there were 6 ants and the Ant King himself. "I think these cakes belong to you more than they do to me," smiled the Raja to the Ant King. "Take them all, for I am going to sleep." And he laid down under the beautiful palash tree and fell asleep. The Ant King was very grateful to the prince for sharing with him and his workers. After a while, the Ant King crawled up to the prince's ear, and as he was dreaming, the Ant King whispered, "We are very thankful for the cakes and have eaten them all up. What can we do for you in return?" "I have everything I need," replied the prince in his sleep. "I cannot spend all the money I have. I have more jewels than I can wear and more servants than I can count. I am grateful for everything, but I am lonely and tired." "You would never be tired of the Princess Lalin," replied the Ant King. "You should seek her, for she is as smart as the moon, as mysterious as the night, as strong as the sunshine, and as lovely as the morning." When the young prince awoke, the ants were all gone, and he was very sorry for this because he remembered what the Ant King had said about the Princess Lalin. "The only thing for me to do," he said to himself, "is to find out in what country this extraordinary princess lives." So he rode on through the jungle, and just as the sun was going down, he came to a large pond where a poor tiger stood roaring. "Are you hungry?" asked the prince. "What is the matter?" "I am not hungry, but I have a thorn in my foot which hurts me very much," replied the tiger. So the prince jumped off his horse and pulled out the thorn from the tiger's foot, then wrapped some healing leaves over the wound with a piece of cloth which he tore off his turban. Just as he was ready to mount his horse again, the tiger's wife, a fierce tigress, came crashing through the jungle. "How nice," she cried. "Here is a man, and we can eat him." "No, indeed," replied her husband. "He has been very good to me. He has taken a thorn out of my foot, and I am grateful to him. If he wants help at any time, we must give it to him." "I'd rather eat him," grumbled the tigress, but her husband reassured her, so she ran back into the jungle. Then the prince asked the tiger if he could tell him the shortest way to Princess Lalin's country, and the tiger told him it was across 3 ranges of hills and through 7 jungles. "But," said the tiger, "there is a fakir or holy beggar in the next jungle to this, and he has a magic bed which will carry you anywhere you wish to go. He also has a bag which will give you whatever you ask for, and a stone bowl which will fill itself with water as often as you ask for it. If you can get these things, you can certainly find the Princess Lalin." The Raja was very happy and set out to find the fakir. He had great respect for the holy beggars of the world because they were so wise, and he was also excited to see these magical things. He found the fakir sitting under a tree on the edge of the jungle, with his magic bed on one side of him and the bag and the bowl on the other side. The fakir sat very still for a long time when he heard what the prince wanted, and then he asked in his soft voice, "Why do you seek the Princess Lalin?" "Because I want to marry her," replied the prince very earnestly. "I'm a good man, but I'm a lonely man. I want to share my life with a woman who is strong and smart and kind." "Look into my eyes while I hold your hands," said the fakir, and the prince did so, and the fakir could tell that he could trust the prince. The fakir said he would lend the prince his magic things, and he would also take care of the prince's horse until the prince came back. Now lie down on the bed and wish yourself in the Princess Lalan's country, said the fakir. So the prince took the bag and the stone bowl in his hands and stretched himself on the beautifully decorated magic bed. Take me to Princess Lalan's country. And no sooner had he spoken than off he went with a whoosh. He flew over the 7 jungles and saw elephants and Bengal tigers drinking from the rivers. And he flew over 3 ranges of hills where he saw leopards and pandas and black bears roaming the land. In less than a minute, he was in the kingdom where the Princess Lalan lived. The name of the princess's father was Afzal, and he was the King Raja of that country. So many princes had come to him over the years who wanted to marry his daughter that he was tired of saying no to all of them. They weren't kind and generous enough for his daughter, so he tried the plan of giving them impossible tasks to do, like climbing a huge mountain in 1 day or swimming as fast as a dolphin. And he hoped that would keep them away because they knew they would fail this impossible task. But they still kept coming because they wanted to marry his daughter. At last, King Raja Afzal decided that the only way to keep his daughter from marrying these silly princes was to forbid foreigners from coming to his kingdom altogether. So he told the people in his kingdom that no one could let a stranger stay with him. When the prince came to an old woman's cottage and asked if he might spend the night there, she told him that the Raja would not allow it. "Can I put my bed into your garden and sleep there?" he asked. "And can I have supper with you?" "I have nothing but rice," said the old woman, shaking her head. But the prince begged so hard that she finally said, "Okay," and he came into her little cottage and put his bag on her table. Then he spoke to the bag. "Bag, please, may we have something to eat?" And all at once, the bag opened, and there was a fine supper for 2 people. So the old woman ate with the prince. The food was delicious and was served on golden plates with gold spoons. When they were done eating, the old woman said she would go to the well for some water. "You don't need to do that," said the prince, and he tapped the bowl with his finger. "Bowl," he cried, "please, may we have some water?" At once, the bowl filled with water, and the old woman was amazed and washed the golden plates and spoons. "If you will let me stay with you for a little while," said the prince, "you may have these plates and spoons for your own." He asked the bowl to fill up again. "My bowl gives me all the water I want, and my bag gives me everything else I ask for. They belong to a holy fakir, and he might be sad if you don't let us stay here tonight." The old woman sat very quiet for a long time, and then she said, "The anger of a king is something to be dreaded, but that of a holy beggar might be far worse." "There are 12 gold plates and 12 gold spoons. They are yours," he said. You may stay," she said. "But be careful that the Raja's soldiers do not catch you. The Raja is trying to keep away all foreigners, so no one will marry his daughter." By this time it was night, and the prince and the old woman sat in darkness, for there were no lamps in the house. "The Raja does not allow lamps to be used," she said, "but his daughter, the Princess Lalan, sits on the roof of her palace at night and shines so bright that she lights up the whole country." Just then, a beautiful silver radiance filled the room, and when the prince stepped outside, he saw that the princess was sitting on the roof of her palace. Her sari, which is an Indian dress, was of silver gauze, and her dark hair floated almost down to her small brown feet. She wore a band of diamonds and pearls across her head, and the light that came from her was as beautiful as that of the sun and the moon and the stars together. "The Ant Raja was right," said the prince. Her light shows me that she is as smart as the moon, as mysterious as the night, as strong as the sunshine, and as lovely as the morning. I should never be lonely or tired of the Princess Lalin." At midnight, the princess came down from her roof and went to her room. Then the prince sat down on his bed with his bag in his hand. "Bed," he said, "take me to the princess's palace." So the bed took him where the princess lay fast asleep. Then he shook the bag. "Bag," he said, "please give me a lovely shawl embroidered in red and blue and gold." The bag gave it to him, and he spread it gently over the princess. Then he wrote a beautiful poem and laid it on the shawl for the princess to find. When he was done, the bed carried him back to the old woman's cottage. The next day, the magic bag gave the prince and the old woman breakfast and dinner and supper, and when night came, the princess again sat on the roof. This time her sari was of white silk, covered with diamond butterflies, and she shone more gloriously than before. Again, at midnight, the princess went to her room, and again the prince told his magic bed to take him to the palace. When he saw the princess sleeping in her room, he said to his bag, "Bag, please, I want a very beautiful ring." The bag gave him a ring with rubies on it, which he slipped onto the princess's finger as she lay sleeping. He was just about to leave when suddenly Princess Lalin woke up. She was scared to see this man in her room, so he told her who he was, and he told her about the Ant King and the Holy Beggar. When the princess saw what a noble, handsome young man he was, and heard that he was the son of a great Raja, and that he was the one who had brought her the magnificent shawl the night before, she wasn't afraid anymore. "But it is your poem and your story," she said, "that has made me fall in love with you. In your poem, you wrote so beautifully about nature, and in your story, I learned that you are kind to animals and generous to people." She said she would tell her father and mother that she wanted him for her husband. The prince was so happy and flew back to the old woman's cottage. The Raja Afzal, Princess Lalin's father, sent for the prince the next day and told him he could marry the princess because she wished it, and he trusted her choice. "But first," said he, "you must do this for me. Here are 80 pounds of mustard seed, and you must crush the oil out of them in one day." "It is impossible," said the prince as he went away from the palace. "How can I do it?" When the old woman heard of it, she said, "It is quite impossible. Only an army of ants could do it." Of course, the prince thought of the Ant Raja, and at the very minute he thought of him, the Ant Raja and all his ants crept under the door and into the room. "If I don't crush all the oil out of this mustard seed before tomorrow morning, I can't marry the Princess Lalin," said the prince, showing the bag to the Ant Raja. "We will take care of it for you," replied the Ant King. "You fed us so kindly. Now let us help you. Go to sleep. Leave it to us." When the prince woke up the next morning, there was not a drop of oil left in the mustard seed. He was so happy when he took it to the king. "That is very good indeed," said Raja Afzal. "But I have something else for you to do." Oh, this was a crafty king. He was trying to give the Raja another impossible task. "One day when I was out in the hills, I caught 2 bad spirits, and I have them here, shut up in a cage. I want them destroyed because they may break out someday and harm my people. You may marry my daughter, the Princess Lalin, if you can destroy them." "How can I fight 2 bad spirits?" the prince asked the old woman when he was back in her cottage. "Only a couple of tigers could do it," replied the old woman, and as soon as the prince remembered his tigers, they came in the door. "Take us to the king," said the tigers. When the prince asked the Raja if the tigers might fight the 2 spirits, the king said, Okay, for he was very anxious to get rid of them. All the king's court went to see the fight, and they were pleased and felt safe when the tigers got rid of the spirits. But when the prince said, "Now will you give me your daughter?" Raja Afzal replied, "There is only one thing more. If you can bang my kettle drum, you shall marry the Princess Lalan." "Papa," said Princess Lalan, "you are not being honest. The Raja is a fair, noble man. You must treat him kindly. If you don't, I will leave this kingdom and marry him anyway." But the prince did not want the daughter to fight with her father, so he said, "Where is your drum?" "Up there in the sky," replied the Raja. "I don't know how it can get up into the sky," sighed the prince. "This is the hardest task of all." So he went back to the cottage and said to the old woman, "My ants crushed his oil. My tigers destroyed the spirits. But who is to get up into the sky and beat his kettle drum?" "You are rather silly," said the old woman. "If your bed carried you across 7 jungles and over 3 ranges of hills, don't you think it can take you up into the sky?" "It is rather ridiculous that I didn't think of that," laughed the prince, and he quickly sat down upon his beautiful magic bed. Up into the sky it flew, whoosh, whoosh, where he banged the kettle drum so loudly with the handle of his hunting knife that the king heard him. "Well, you have proven to me that you are worthy of my daughter. The wedding shall take place as soon as you like," said the Raja when the prince came down again. And so the prince sent the bed and the bowl and the bag back to the fakir with a beautiful poem telling him how grateful he was. Then the invitations to the wedding were sent to all the kings and queens of the neighboring countries. And after they were married, the prince took the Princess Lalan home to his own province, where they ruled fairly and were respectful of nature and kind to all the animals. The end.
Now it's time to calm your body down. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your tummy like a big balloon. And breathe out slowly through your mouth. Your body has done so much for you today. So we're going to scan through each of your body parts and switch them all off so they can go to sleep too. This time, let's start way down low at the base of your body with your little toes. Gently wiggle them and switch them off. Now your feet. Rub them against your sheets and switch them off. Feel your ankles, then switch them off. Breathe in. Feel your weight on the bed. And breathe out. Now focus on your calves and switch them off. Think about your knees, who have helped your legs all day, and switch them off. Breathe in and breathe out. Switch off your thighs in the front and in the back. Think about your hips and switch them off. Focus on your belly. And while you breathe, feel it rise and fall like a balloon. Now switch that off too. Switch off your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Keep breathing. Switch off your spine, your neck, your head. Then switch off your face. And remember to switch off your jaw. Switch off your mouth, your nose, your cheeks, and your forehead. Switch off your eyes and your eyebrows. Be still and be calm. You have switched off your whole body. Slowly take one last deep breath in and breathe out. Observe how your body feels. And now your whole body is switched off, and you've calmed your body down.
Sweet dreams. Sleep tight and know that everything's going to be all right.